Let's start off with genomic sector news. This is not exactly CRISPR news, but something which is coming up as an alternative, like something akin to, I would say, natural method of treating ailments. So there's this new approach called as epigenetics. It's a field of study of chemical changes that happen to DNA throughout the lifetime of a person, which in turn affect the expression of genes. These changes can occur as a result of external stimulus, just like, say, sunlight, pollen, or diet, or smoking, chemical agents, or anything in the environment that changes the internal ecosystem so that a particular gene can either express itself or suppress itself. So that's the study. So what the scientists are trying to do is that instead of using CRISPR for everything, if there is an opportunity to use epigenetics to modify external environment and switch on or off the expression of certain genes, which create certain syndromes or diseases, then that should be a better approach. So that's what epigenetics is all about. This is the latest, as far as I can see, in the CRISPR news today. So with that said, let us look at the market situation and what it's looking like. The futures are all looking good, and I think the market is poised to get started with a vengeance on the positive side after a weekend. And there are some positive catalysts to it, as I can explain to you. But whether this rally is going to stay green for the whole day or maybe turn around tomorrow is anybody's guess, because the volatility is still there. This Friday is likely to be very, very interesting because we're going to get the consumer price index for May. The general expectation is that it would show a decline over the stats we had for April for inflation. That would mean that inflation has peaked, and that could mean a more dovish or less hawkish Fed. All of those things are really, really positive. But at the same time, we will come to the option expiries, and we'll also be coming towards leaving the risk on the table for the weekend. So how all those sentiments play will be something that's very interesting. Right now, volatility is high, in my opinion, because the market participants are not sure whether Fed will be able to accomplish a soft landing or whether we'll get into recession. So as the sentiment shifts between soft landing and recession, you can see markets go up and go down. And each of these sentiments are triggered by news events that happen around. Today, for instance, some of the positive developments we have is that Germany has been able to commandeer a couple of ships. I won't say the word commandeer, but I think they hired it from Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. Those ships have got onboard systems that can convert liquefied natural gas into gas so that it can be consumed by the end users. So there are two of those ships which account for around 25% of Germany's imports from Russia. So that makes Germany that much less dependent on Russian gas. And there's a cost attached to hiring these ships. But Germany is trying to do as much as possible to increase its reserves from 30% to almost 90 or 100% before the onset of winter. The other interesting possibility is that if these ships were to be staying in the ports for a longer period of time, there is a potential to use the existing gas pipelines in Europe and supply gas into it directly instead of the pipelines receiving gas from Russia. So there will be some adjustment to be made to change the flow, direction of flow of the gas, and to account for who is using how much gas. So those logistics will definitely be there, but there is that possibility. I'll do a separate video on this later, but that kind of gives a positive bias to the market as we get started. And this is likely to also reflect on lower oil prices and lower gas prices as we go ahead. because the risk factor is getting reduced. In terms of supplying gas to Europe, there is another ship which is going to be in the coast of Italy, again with the same capability, like being able to convert LNG into gas. So that's going to provide a little more relief. But these are all temporary measures which will be replaced with permanent measures as time goes by. So with that said, I think I would like to also mention that Apple is going to come up with its developers conference. There are people who are saying that probably they will showcase their AR and VR technology. Dan Ives thinks that they would be talking more about the Apple Glass, and let us see what happens. But as a precursor to the events, Apple's stock prices are going up, and they have an impact on the indices in which Apple is a component. So those indices are also likely to go up. So pre-market, everything is looking great. It's around 9 o'clock in the morning right now as I'm recording. So things are looking splendid for today. How long they are going to remain green is dependent on other stimulus that we may get during the market open. And as always, please remember, the first hour of trading does not indicate what's going to happen for rest of the day. The real queue will start around somewhere between 10 to 10:30. So around 10:30, we'll have a clear direction for the market, in my opinion. With that said, let's get started and look at Nasdaq. Let's start off with Nasdaq futures. They're up 1.51%, and that shows that futures are looking positive for Nasdaq. Let's go to indicators. In indicators, I'm going to look at US oil, and as we expected, US oil is down. Each of these candles are one-day candle. US oil is down today, but still it is within yesterday's range. So unless we fall below yesterday's range, we are not going to see a significant difference from performance from last week. But I would like to say that we are looking at good improvement in oil prices. The oil prices are likely to go down and hit the 9-day exponential moving average. This is also a bullish sign because oil prices are falling. And then I would look at the PCC, and the PCC is showing that we ended Friday at 1.05, which I would call as neutral to bearish. We want that to fall down below 1, and that's a good chance that it may happen today because we are looking at pre-market conditions showing a much better outlook, and it's very strong both in the futures as well as in our Nasdaq. Now let's look at US dollar index. US dollar index has also come down. This is a good sign for us because money that goes out of US dollar index is going to go into either gold, cryptocurrency, or Nasdaq, or S&P 500, or all of them. So this also is looking bullish for us today. And I'm going to look at the 10-year yields. 10-year yields are going up. When the yields go up, that's good for the market and for the risk on markets. So this is also again showing good for Genomics and Nasdaq. And I'm going to look at QQQ and see what QQQ is doing. Before that, let's look at the VIX, where the VIX is going. So this is the live VIX, and this is the candle for today, 6th of June 22. VIX has gone a little up, and I'm not comfortable with that fact because this is going to weigh in on the market. But the volatility, things can go up very quickly and come down very fast. So just be careful. Anything can happen during the day. Ideally, we want the VIX to fall below 24.28, which is this green line of support out here. And that will take us much closer to an environment where we can start doing swing trades and making some money. And that will also go to a situation where we will predominantly be in a bullish channel where you can't go wrong if you buy and sell because you are most likely to make a profit. The only risk out there is that if you have sold and the market moved up higher, you may not be able to get back in. So that's the only risk, and that's okay. So VIX is still not giving us the green signal that it's going to be a bullish day because volatility is rising. And if I was to look at S&P 500, in S&P 500, we can see that we have this diagonal line of resistance, which is going to hold us back today. But if you look at the pre-market trades, pre-market is up 1.05%, and therefore we are somewhere out here. We are attacking this line of resistance. And if we manage to break through this and go above it, then this will again become a support for us. And overall, we can see that we have been consolidating in the last 4 days as far as S&P 500 is concerned. And the consolidation on the back of upward trend would predispose us to go upwards. So I'm thinking that the 50-day exponential moving average, this fluorescent blue line, is going to be the next resistance. And our MACD is bullish but tending towards the signal line. Momentum is causing a bit of concern because it is on average. Let us go and look at a one-day time frame and see what is happening here. We can see out here that MACD is still bullish but tending towards the signal line, and momentum, instead of pointing totally down, is flat and just below average. So there's a good chance that S&P 500 may pick up today, and pre-market seems to indicate that it will, but we have to wait for up to 10:30 to get the true direction that the market is going to go, and what are the market events and stimulus that the market is responding to, and that's what the professional traders are going to show us. Now, if we go back to QQQ and see pre-market action, we can see that it's up 1.51%. So this is also looking positive. And in a one-day time frame, we can see that MACD is almost close to the signal line, though it is still bullish. But I'm very optimistic because momentum is above average and pointed up. So that shows that Nasdaq definitely is going to have a positive open, in my opinion, and maybe it will lead the market. And if that happens, I'm thinking that the crypto, that BTC is likely to follow Nasdaq. BTC is already positive, and it's forming a kind of doji candle. And I'm going to go to the one-day time frame for each candle, and you will see that today's candle for Bitcoin is absolutely positive. It has gained 5.83%, and it's going to move in sympathy with Nasdaq. If you look at gold, gold is also marginally up. So all the money that came out of US dollar index are finding their way into Bitcoin to a good extent, and gold to some extent, and potentially into Nasdaq and S&P 500. That said, I would like to go and have a look at what's happening with our genomic stocks. So here are our genomic stocks. They are sorted according to the biggest loser on the top. Invitae was the biggest loser with a loss of 15% loss, and PACB followed it with 9%, and Illumina with 6%, and Teladoc with 4%, and RG with 2.27%. Apart from that, the other losses were minor, and most of the genomic stocks stayed positive yesterday on Friday, with Allogene being the best performer with a 5.72% gain, followed by CRISPR and DNA both at plus 5% gains. And then we had Editas, Bluebird, and IMTX at above 2% gains. So these stocks did very well yesterday. And the stocks that did very bad on Friday are likely to get more favor today because they are more beaten up. And the stocks that did very well on Friday are likely to take a little bit of a reprieve when the market opens and we start seeing action. They will end the day slightly lesser. They may gain lesser than the ones which had lost a lot on Friday. So that's my thinking. MACD is also bullish and it's tending towards the signal line. That's not a good thing. And momentum is below average, but it is pointed slightly upwards. So that gives me some hope that things are going to look good for genomics. I'm going to look at IDNA specifically. We are still range bound in IDNA. And our momentum, though it's pointed upwards, it's still below average, so it's a bit wanting out here. And our MACD is bullish, but tending towards the signal line. I'd like to see more strength out here. Hopefully, when the market opens, it delivers us some strength. There has been no pre-market trades, and that makes me feel that the enthusiasm level is a bit low on the genomic sector right now, which can also impact its price capability. Just going to quickly look at some of our range-bound stocks like Illumina. It's gone down. I think that today would be a good opportunity to potentially buy Illumina, knowing that it's going to go up. It could have been a purchase for Friday. If on Friday someone had bought Illumina, they are going to get some profits today, in my opinion. We'll see tomorrow what happens. But I think that there's a good chance that whoever bought Illumina on Friday could take some profit as they approach closer to 248.84. So somewhere around 248 or 247.5, they could sell and make some profits. Next, let's look at Teladoc, which is again still behaving range bound. ARCG is also still range bound. There is no trading opportunity here because we have to wait for it to come down before it can go up. It may try to break through the exponential moving averages, 9 and 20-day respectively, and try to challenge 33.5 for today. Novartis is again facing a resistance out here, and the resistance happens to be at 89.60. It's also constrained by the 9-day exponential moving average and the 20-day exponential moving average. Let's go and look at Vertex. Vertex has got support from the 20-day and the 9-day exponential moving average. And I'm going to see what's happening here with Illumina. You can see that Illumina has already gained 2.02%. So it's on the way up. So that's definitely profit taking to be made in Illumina. Let's look at Verve, what Verve is doing. Verve has picked up a little bit. MACD is bullish, and momentum still needs to pick up. Pfizer is doing okay. It's got support out here, which is going to be at 52.48, and it's got support from the 9-day exponential moving average also. So it's looking good today. Beam again is battling this diagonal line of resistance, which was a very strong resistance. And I can see that in the pre-market, we are up 2.47%. So definitely Beam has broken this resistance. So it is back again on top of it. And this line is going to form some kind of a support as we go forward. MACD is also bullish. Momentum is just at average and likely to pick up. So Beam is likely to do very well today. Intelia is still range bound. And if someone had bought Intelia on Friday, they could be looking at making some profits today. We have a resistance from the 9-day and 20-day exponential moving average, but looking at the MACD the way it is, and also the fact that the momentum is increasing, I think that this share should do well. But the fact that there is no pre-market trades make me feel a bit circumspect about it. But if the overall market is pushing forward, I think Intelia is also going to gain today. So with that said, I would like to look at CRISPR Therapeutics, which is one of my favorite stocks out here. And I think CRISPR Therapeutics is well on the way to test the resistance at 66.36, which is this horizontal red line. The pre-market shows a gain of 1.96% and takes it to 65.47, which is exactly at the peak that it had yesterday. So we are starting at very close to the peak that we momentarily touched on Friday. So I'm very hopeful that CRISPR Therapeutics is going to do very well and potentially try to break through 66.36 resistance and convert that into a support. And also you would be happy to note that when it comes to CRISPR Therapeutics, if we draw a trend line out here, we have got almost 3 touch points, and that makes this a very strong trend line. So we're going to respect this trend line, in my opinion. With that said, I would like to bring this session to a close. My technical analysis is done. So friends, I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please press a like out here. And also you could check out my video on Sunday if you haven't done so already, which talks about some risks to our thesis that the next 2 quarters are going to be great. And in the 4th quarter, we are going to have the bull market starting. So I want you to have a look at that and keep it at the back of your mind, because that's what I'm thinking when I'm talking about the markets in my daily analysis. So my theory is still intact, but there is going to be some amount of problems that we might face. And if the markets decide to focus on that in the 4th quarter, we will have some trouble. So please have a look at that video. I'll put the link in the description below, and I'll also try to put it on the end screen so that you can go and have a look very easily. That said, please press a like here if you did like this video. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe and help us grow this channel. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.